Yeah, because I got this mask on. Because I got this mask on. Do I should put this in my face?
Put it a little closer since
Oh,
you
yeah.
got the mask on.
I got a mask on.
Tighten the knob.
This one?
Yeah, because it's falling every time you move it.
Oh, for real?
Yep.
Oh, shit,
Like
my
loosen
bad.
it, bring it closer, and then tighten it.
Oh, through this.
Lefty loosey. Yep.
Oh, what's
We're
up?
learning.
We're learning.
Lefty loosey, righty tighty for all you beginners, you know.
Right here.
My biggest pet peeve is when motherfuckers just try to like move the mic stand without loosening shit. That's how you break shit.
I'm sorry.
You're fired.
That was a subtle jab. I'm sorry.
I wasn't even subtle. That was directly at
That was
you.
directly at me. I'm sorry.
Anyway, frequency response. We're fucking here. COVID free, but still being careful, you know. New lockdowns.
New lockdown. So they say.
So they say. I mean, it's the same shit we've been on.
True.
Wash your motherfucking hands. You know, essential trips only. Don't be going out fucking partying.
Right. Don't go out
Don't
partying. Right.
Don't be on the dating apps
Right.
swapping spit.
Right.
You little nasties.
I'm guilty. Sorry.
Oh fuck.
I'm
Don't say that. Cut that shit. Anyway. Oh yeah. And since, you know, the new wave, Clubhouse, we're going to get our ass on Clubhouse. If y'all ain't on Clubhouse yet, catch up.
Catch up.
It's cool, no mustard.
Yeah. Get in there.
I'm going to start a room and I'm going to call it frequency response podcast.
How do you use it? I haven't been on it.
Well, it's just like a chat room for people pretty much. And you just open it up and then people can come in and listen. And we can invite them up to speak if they want to ask a question.
What?
And I'm going to try to just set my phone right. This is probably risky, but yep. All right. Oh, yep.
Whoa, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, already we got our boy Mission here.
What up, bro?
What's good, bro? We're doing our frequency response podcast that we do every week. I know you're a podcast guy right here, so we appreciate you for tuning in. This is an engineering podcast. We're just talking shit about all the newest EQs, all the newest plugins, our techniques. We got a seasoned engineer here. I got my boy here who's just starting out engineering. He's trying to learn some shit.
Yeah.
He's a beat maker, you know.
Beat
so-
maker. That's what they label me. Beat maker.
Yes, sir. And shit. Yes, sir. This is the clip on Instagram. We Insta famous.
It's
Yeah, it's just some little shit, you know.
Where do you want to start?
I'm gonna ask you that. What you been up to the last week?
What have I been up to? Just been working on music again, writing, and messing with EQ a lot. Multi-band compression. Just doing my reps.
What are you multi-band compressing? Tell us.
What am I multi-band compressing? Whole mix buses, certain sounds, individual sounds. I'm not one to use it, to be honest, so I'm just trying to get my feet wet and just see what I could come up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what, I mean, success? What, you like it? You're gonna keep using it?
I'm gonna start using it. Yes, I'm going to start using it.
What do you hear like when you put it on? Like, what does it do for you?
Just control certain frequencies.
Yeah.
Right, without affecting the whole sound wave.
Yeah. So are you crushing your low end a little more? Are you crushing everything equally? Are you utilizing the fact that you can crush things at different thresholds?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, just getting my feet wet, just doing the tips, not doing too much compression.
Just hitting the tips.
Just
Yeah, I feel you.
But
Yeah.
as far as the gain, I try to go in the slope from low to high, and to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Just more bass. I like bass.
More gain reduction on the low end and going up, or the opposite?
Opposite.
Okay, so you're crushing the highs a little more.
Crushing the highs. Oh, I'm sorry. The first one.
He don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking. No, the first one.
It's okay if you don't know what you're talking about, because this is where we're gonna teach you some shit.
That's right.
And the only way you can fucking learn is just to throw it on something
That's right.
and just be like, oh, well, this sounds different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you might not necessarily know exactly what it's doing, but you're going to figure it out. It's going to get better.
That's right.
It can't get worse. We're going to keep going, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
just like this world gonna keep going with or without us, you know. So
Facts.
I wanted to show you guys like some vocal chain shit. So I'm gonna go get up in the booth and he gonna talk to you for a second.
We'll do quick talking. One thing that I did for production when I first tried to learn keys is basicmusictheory.net. You can pick your key, minor or major. They give you all the keys. It's a big cheat code if you just want to start playing with keys, but you're not musically trained. You know what I'm saying? But check out this booth real quick. We got a nice, lovely booth over here with the purple lights.
Alright, fuck that. Whoa! Reverb going stupid.
But I can't hear you.
Nah, you can't hear shit.
That's
You can
a
turn up
good
the
point.
speaker and then you can turn shit. You can hear shit. Straight up. I'm just gonna hit him with a frequency response. It's a podcast about nothing, bitch.
Nice.
Straight up.
Straight up, baby. Shout out to Clubhouse as well.
That's all.
Nice.
I just hit him with the Travis Scott vocal chain.
Hit him with the Travis Scott.
T Scott.
That's right.
Yeah, man, I just wanted like the importance of having like a fire vocal chain live on your vocalist so they can really get the vibe of how their shit's gonna sound. Like, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, I think I like that, but I need to hear it mixed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you already have it kind of mixed on your input
Right.
while you're recording, and if you have an Apollo, it's very easy to do this. Give them something. Give them a little bit of compression. Give them a little bit of EQ. Something that's really cool in the Apollo is you can go from input. Let's see. It is right here. It's called UAD record and UAD monitoring. So if you have it on UAD monitoring, you can literally put up to 5 plugins that'll just be monitored. It won't be recorded. So you'll be recording into your DAW just raw audio, and they will be able to hear auto-tune, compression, EQ, reverb, and none of that's being recorded. So if like you pick the wrong key or you need to take out a note or you EQ'd it too thin, it's like no worries. It's not going to be recorded. It's just going to be hearing what they heard. That's going to be what they heard. And they're going to get a better performance because they're going to hear it essentially almost mixed already. So this is a cool thing that I like to do for a lot of my clients, especially if they need auto-tune. Even if they don't need auto-tune, I always do a little bit of compression. I have outboard compression as well, so like that helps as well. But I don't know, you can never have too much compression, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Smack that shit like Mike Dean would do.
Hey.
Yeah.
And also boost their confidence, you know? They hear themselves. They're like, oh,
they sound better, they're going to feel better, they're going to perform better.
That's right.
They might think of some better lyrics because most of y'all suck. No, I'm just kidding. I'm talking shit. I would never talk shit about my own clients. I'll talk shit about people who ain't mixing with me because that's just how it be.
Until you start mixing with them, then he'll be like, you know what? I changed my mind.
I have a lot of people lately that have hit me up.
Yeah.
That have their own engineer.
Okay.
That just send me mixes to be like, oh, like, what do you think of this? You know?
Got you.
And I tell everybody on here, if you just want like an opinion on your mix, I can give you some like real feedback of notes, like what to do, not just be like, oh, it sounds silky. It sounds, you know, I can give you like, yo, go into your main EQ and cut fucking 600 hertz. Like that shit is booming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I need a little more wet reverb. I need turn the time down on the reverb. Like I'll give you some real feedback. So if you want to send me some shit, yeah, shit, I will give you like real feedback in real time. So you can hit me up on Instagram, open the Gaets. You can hit it to my email, mikegatomixing@gmail.com. I'll give you some real feedback straight up. So
Constructive is always good.
yeah, so I've had a lot of clients that have come to me recently and they sent me their mix from their engineer and they're not fully happy with it. They're semi-happy with it. And once I get the mix and I hear it and I kind of give them my take on it, they understand what I'm saying most of the time. Some people are like, I get you, but I don't get you. And those are the people that just kind of drop it and it comes out and it sounds whatever. But the people that get what I'm saying, they'll end up sending it to me to do another mix, you know? So I think, you know, it's important to have a competing mix. Like, say, like, you know, you're working with somebody and, you know, you're mixing it and they're happy with it, but not 100% happy with it. But they know someone else that could maybe mix it too. compete mixing, you know? Like, you give him your best mix, have another guy give him your best mix. The artist gets to pick, because at the end of the day, it's his art.
It is his art.
Like, it's got to be perfect, you know?
Right.
He can't just settle for the mix because, you know, that's who his guy is or whatever. Kanye fucking has 10 different people mix his records, and he picks, you know? Mike Dean probably wins all them shits because he's fire, but...
That's right.
I mean, that's how it goes. I've lost mixes to people too that are better than me, and like, you know, it's gonna happen. So
The name of the game.
yeah, and honestly, if the mix is better than mine, go for it. I'm happy for it. I'm like, hell yeah, that shit sounds fire.
Right.
And then that gives me something to. I want to level up to that spot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's all about leveling up, keeping someone ahead of you, so you can be like, oh, that's where I want to be. If you have no one to look up to and you think you're the best, I mean. You're not going to level up. You're just going to stay right where you are.
That's true.
So, I mean, you can speak to that, right? Like, hearing stuff mixed in a different way kind of inspires you.
Yeah. Honestly, I like picking everyone's brains, like multiple people's brains. I picked your brain.
Yeah.
Remember, I used to ask Gates here bunch of questions. And I mean, like a bunch of questions, which
Yep.
gave the idea to start this podcast because I would just...
Every time I came over, he was just like, yo, I got some questions for you. I'm like, go for it. We ended up sitting there for an hour talking.
That's right.
I'm like, we should record this.
And honestly, a lot of times I would already have like a technique or a method or some knowledge, but I always want to see what you think. 'Cause
Everybody has a different technique.
That's right. That's right.
So, I mean, learn other people's techniques and then, like, put your own spin on it. Like, because I learned my techniques, a lot of my techniques I learned from my professor, but I tweaked them, you know? Because he was not mixing, like, hip-hop vocals. He was mixing a lot of, like, rock stuff. And so it applied, but there's a difference, you know? Like one thing, like, in hip-hop, limiting is, like, a must, you know? You got to limit the shit out of everything if you want it to peek through, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.
That's one thing I haven't messed with. I think when you first told me about the limiters, I was messing with it. The recent mixes, I haven't messed with the limiter.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I probably should, though.
you don't. I hate to say like you need this because
You need it.
There's a way around everything,
Need it.
you know.
Right.
Automation, you know, is a big one. That's something you need. If you're not automating, take some plugins off because you might be doing too much. Try a little automation instead.
Right.
Always try automation before heavy compression, heavy limiting, you know, because it might just be certain words that are popping out that you need to duck or certain words that are low that you need to bring up. Because, I mean, when an artist performs, everything that comes out of their mouth is not the same volume. And it shouldn't be because you want dynamics, right?
Right.
So you have to also, like, keep that aspect of their performance. You can't just make everything in their face. Like, there are some parts of the beat where, you know, the kick drops out or the snare drops out or a pad that's swallowing up the frequency of your vocal drops out. In that case, then your vocal can kind of dip down a little bit. And that's when you see in the final master, you're like, oh, the bridge looks like it's quieter than everything else. If you made your bridge just as loud as the last hook, I mean, what do they have to look forward to? You know what I mean?
True.
So try it, you know?
Yeah.
Dynamics are big. And that's, I think a lot of people in their mastering process, they'll master too early. And they'll mix with their master chain on.
Aha.
And then it's like, you know, everything sounds good loud.
Facts.
So don't put your mastering chain on until you're happy with that mix. Because one, it's gonna, you know, affect your mix in a way that you want it affected, but there's other ways that you could have fixed it. Because you're affecting everything all in one, you know?
Right.
You could just put that limiter, that multiband on a vocal instead of the vocal and the beat, or the stems of the beat, or just your back bus, like anything. So
What about if someone has their mastering chain, but then they start mixing in that way, but the mastering chain's already in place, so whatever is coming out, what if they like what they hear? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not telling you how to do your job, but I'm going to show you how I do my job.
That's right, dog. Tell them how it go. Tell them how it go.
I mean, if it sounds good, it sounds good. But just know that one day someone might take your job.
Oh,
As modest as I can be.
took
Because you
your
never
job.
know, you know, like, okay, so here's an example. Say you're mixing a record, right?
Let's go.
You're mixing with your master chain on, right?
Oh, okay. I'm
It sounded
envisioning.
really good.
Oh,
It sounded great. You're sending the final mix. Your client's super happy, right?
Okay.
Okay. Then they hit you with the, oh, we're actually going to send this off to be mastered. Can you send it to us without the mastering chain on it? You send it to them without the mastering chain on it. The whole mix falls apart.
Ooh.
Right?
The facts.
So they're like, yo, what the fuck? Is this the same? What is this? The mastering guy gets it. He's like, oh, yeah, this is a mess.
Ooh.
That's when it's going to come back and kick you in the ass. Because I've had that happen to me before. Where I'm like, damn, this shit sounds good. And I take the chain off and I'm like, ooh, this needs some work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the mastering guy can achieve something like that. But most likely, like a real good mastering engineer, they're not trying to change the mix too much, you know?
Right.
Because if you're happy with the mix, they don't want to like drastically change anything. They just want to make it louder, make it wider, make the stereo image bigger. So in that case, they're going to have to do some crazy shit. And that's not what you pay them to do, you know? You pay them to keep the integrity of that mix. So
Keyword, integrity of that mix. Make the mix good.
yeah,
Be happy with the mix.
be happy. I mean, you're never going to be like fully happy with the mix. I mean, I never am, you know?
Oh, so true.
I'm getting close where I'm like, I'm happy enough to let them release it. But I mean, I'd say for the first 8-9 years of my career, everything that I dropped when it came out, I was like, oh man, I could have done that just a little bit differently, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But now I can confidently say, like, when I drop shit, I'm like, yeah, I don't really hear anything that I would have done differently, you know?
Yeah.
That takes fucking years, though. And I mean, there's always going to be a little something like, fuck, I fucked that up.
Right.
But the average listener is not going to hear it. The artist doesn't even know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have these ears, it's a fucking curse, honestly. You can't enjoy shit unless it sounds good. So,
Interesting. Yeah, because I'm in a stage right now where I just release and then I hear like, man, I could have done that differently. You know, like whether sidechain it differently or just bring down certain volumes.
yeah, like,
Whatever
damn, that's
it-
loud.
Yeah.
You hear it on a different system, and you're like, oh, shit, that's booming.
So, yeah, there's some things that I would do differently, but I think that just shows growth. You know, would you agree? Or-
Yeah, for sure. That's another thing. You have to put shit out in order to learn from it.
That's right.
So if you don't ever put it out, no one's ever going to hear it. You're not going to know that you could have done that better. You're just going to keep tweaking it, and it's never going to come out. So that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Hey, Mitch, you still with us? I want to see if he wants that.
Let's go.
Hey, bro. I'm talking my shit right now.
Let him talking shit. Let him.
I was just curious, like, you got anything you've been working on, or you got, like, fellow mixing engineer, fellow dope beat maker right here, damn it, Mitch. Him and Shaw always got some crazy shit up their sleeves.
Oh, he does Shaw stuff?
He does a lot of Shaw shit.
2 thumbs up, baby.
I know he's got 2 tracks done from Shaw that
Ooh.
he's going to be dropping soon. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so, I mean, you've been working on any mixes lately, or, like, you have anything that, like, any new techniques that you've been, like, exploring that you're just, like, this shit's crazy that you just learned, or any game for us?
Yeah, so the recent challenge I've been having, and it's really, I've been going back to the basics. And what I mean by that is just learning, kind of relearning the techniques, because I started mixing, and I don't know if you guys have ever mixed in Fruity Loops with stock plugins.
Hell yeah. I haven't, but I've mixed in, like, you know, like some similar things like that, like not not appropriate for mixing, but you can get it done.
Yeah, just stuff you're not comfortable with, stuff you haven't used a long time, that kind of thing. And instead of telling the artist, like, you know what, stem it out, send it to me, I'm putting it in my comfort zone, and I'm going to figure it out. I challenged myself to just figure it out, like de-essing specifically, right?
Okay.
In Fruity Loops, they don't have a dedicated de-esser plugin.
Got you.
Like, and de-essing is a very, like, super specific way to compress a signal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Right.
So with a compressor, you can do de-essing, but you have to know how de-essing works, just period, before you can do it with a compressor instead of, like, a dedicated plugin.
For sure.
And I had gotten into a heavy practice of jumping into my plugins, finding the preset I felt worked the best, and then fine tuning it. But just starting from the ground up with the plugin and really knowing what you're trying, a lot like you said earlier, right? Knowing what you're trying to get out of the plugin, and just changing it in a bunch of different ways to hear what it does.
For sure, yeah, because like every plugin, because like every plugin that's created that's like convenient, it's like you could do it with a series of other plugins, but it's just like it's just combining it all into one plugin to make it easier for you. So like for example, what are you using to like make a de-esser with if you don't have one?
What's the name of the plugin? It's called shoot, I'd have to.
No worries, you don't gotta know the name. But I'm saying, are you like sending it? Are you
Maximus? I think Maximus or something like
Maximus?
that.
Okay.
Hey.
So are you like splitting the signal up and just kind of compressing like the top end of it?
Yeah, it's a multiband, like you guys were talking about at the top. It's a multiband compressor. And I don't know if bro knew that, but like you can you had me dying laughing. You talking about just the tips, but. You use a super narrow specific band in a multi-brand compressor to target like the S sound, and then you compress it like you would any other compressor. Yep,
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. And like another thing, like people ask me, they're like, "Oh, well, what frequency are you de-essing?" But it's like everybody's vocal is different.
Everybody's voice is different.
Exactly.
You can't. Yeah. If I have to adjust even the waves de-esser that I typically use, you have to. Even if you set it to like male vocal, you still have to move it a little bit to find out.
Oh, for sure.
Like where that person's S is, because you'll de-ess some of it and miss like the top half of it, and it'll still sound real sharp. And then you doing a ton of de-essing, and it's killing the bottom half of the S, and top half of it's flying. Like
and like I don't know about y'all, but like I'll the de-essing, like there's also kind of like I'll use a de-esser sometimes to cut down on like the It's not necessarily the S, but it's like the crackle kind of. So like I could be de-essing down in like the 3K region and also be de-essing in like the 5 to 7 region, So it's like there's different parts of frequencies that are harsh on your ears, So you can kind of use that to balance the tonals out,
Yeah. Oh, Mike, you giving out game.
Yeah, man. What's up?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So for these volume wars, right?
Yeah.
Have you? I recently, in trying to put this album together, the engineer so I didn't even mix my album, right? I mastered it, but most of the mixing was done. I had your help, and then I had another engineer.
So those the two shot tracks are going on your album?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But he told me about DistroKid and Spotify and Apple Music and how now they're suggesting like a -0.7 and almost a negative a whole dB like of space at the top to allow for their mastering processes that they have going on. Where do you stand on that? Where do you usually set yourself?
Yeah, so I mean they are forever changing, I feel, because if you send a signal that's too loud, you're gonna hear it. Like I've had like a year ago I mastered an album and like it ended up being too loud in the mix. Like I think I had it at like -2 like before like all those changes started, and I didn't know about that shit, and you could hear it, man. It fucked the mix up. Like it crushed the shit out of it, and I was just like, I was so mad, and we ended up having to resubmit it because it was too much, But yeah, I mean, for me, like, it's tough because you want it to be loud, you want it to be as loud as everything else. Like, I always compare my shit to like some Travis Scott like guts because I'm like, those are like the loudest fucking songs. But I always try to drop a like if I'm doing an album, I always try to drop like a reference track in there. For sure, and just to see like where their peaks are hitting. But it also depends on like how you downloaded that reference track. Like, did you get like the wave? You're not gonna get the wave. You can't download the wave from anywhere anymore. So it's like it's already gonna be different. But yeah, I mean, I've honestly kind of like stopped competing on the loudness because I feel like the people who really like care about the music predominantly that I'm working on, are people who like really like appreciate music and they don't need it to just be like, oh, that's loud. So I mean, you can always turn your shit up. So the loudness wars aren't over, but I don't know. I don't think it's as important as it once was. Because I mean, what would you say majority of people are listening to their music on?
It's AirPods or a car.
AirPods or a car, yeah. So I mean, I feel like the phone is where you're like, oh, I want it to be screaming, you know? Like if someone's just listening on their phone, but who the fuck is really listening on their phone if they really appreciate music?
Right.
So AirPods get real loud, like ridiculously loud. And I mean, I always do a car test. So like, if my shit is loud enough, like it doesn't need to be louder than everybody else's. So I don't know. I don't think it's as important, but it's definitely important. But yeah, you don't want it to be so loud that it's going to get crushed by the distributor, because then you're going to be real pissed.
Bro, let me tell you how happy I was when I put your master versions of the Shaw records for my album next to the masters that I had, and I wasn't killing the volume game. And you were even, I think I was at like 0.4 or something like that, and you were even lower than me. And, you know, just out of my respect for you, I was like, oh, okay, so, all right, cool. So I'm not tripping. So we can just go down a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be the loudest thing ever. Like, I think in putting this album together and comparing, like, the two masters that we had, I was able to learn that from you, bro. So,
hell yeah.
Big kudos to that. That's why I kind of wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, man, because, I mean, I feel like back in the day when I didn't know the most about mixing, I would just fucking put, like, a brick wall limiter on that shit and be like, damn, it sounds fire, you know? But, like I said, like, not mixing with your mastering chain already on, like, you got to make your mix sound good before it hits that. So then when you do go to hit it, like, you don't want to hit it too hard because then it's just going to tear your mix apart.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just be balanced, you know, and don't let that get in your head because that's going to mess up your mixes, and that sucks. Because especially, like, if you're listening on loud-ass speakers, like, you can always go louder. And, like, I don't even want people to listen to my shit really loud because then I'm going to take their hearing at a young age, you know? Like, that's fucked up.
Exactly.
I feel responsible.
Especially because you knew that's what was going to happen when you put that limiter at 0.2.
Yeah. And, I mean, sometimes there are songs that do call for that just sound like better like that. Like that whole era of like the Smoke Perps and fucking like their shit was hitting, but their low end wasn't as low as it could have been because they wanted it to hit louder, you know? So it's like you got to find that balance. If you want that shit to hit in the subs of the trunk, the mix can't be super super loud. Like if you listen to like some Big Crit shit or like Young Jeezy, like his mixes are loud, but they're not like crazy loud because that bass is there.
Right.
So it just depends on how much you want to roll off the bottom, you know? Because I don't know. Do you have subs?
What I found too is a lot of it is static mixing, right? Like people will just not put a good static mix on it, but crush it with the limiter and say, "Oh, okay, it's loud enough, so I guess we're good."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what
like
happens.
The ad libs are the same volume as the sample, and the snare isn't breathing over top of anything.
Yeah. No dynamics.
Like you said earlier, as an engineer, we can't enjoy music anymore, so it's like, damn, I can't even listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, and if everything is the same volume, like, your listener is going to get ear fatigued.
Right.
And they're not going to know why they can't play the song 4 times in a row, but they're going to be like, I don't know, there's just something about it that doesn't make me want to play it again.
Exactly.
So, and that's all we want, you know, the streaming numbers, we want people to run that shit back and back and back, put it on repeat, you know?
Right.
So it's all like a little bit of psychology too, you know, like we don't really realize that, but that shit's important. Yeah. And look at that, we got our main.
Me.
Look who go. So yeah, man. So that's why we have this fucking podcast, because we want to, like, I want to teach people like the right way to do this shit. It's no secret.
No secret.
You just gotta like stay at it. Like, how many years have you been doing this shit, Mitch?
Yeah, like that slowed up on mixing. Kind of like in the 2018, 2019 spot.
For sure.
Yeah, like even I'm still finally becoming confident in, you know, my product today after years and years of trying things, experimenting, and figuring the game out.
Yeah.
It just takes time.
Experimentation. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
And I mean, be blessed enough to have artists to work with that you can experiment with. Because some artists don't let you experiment, and then you're not gonna grow because of that. You have to have
like a certain way. Like I had this one artist I was putting some effects on, and he said, "Yo, bitch, you always going hard with my." Like he said it almost in a joking, like chill out kind of way.
Yeah.
But you always going hard on like the effects on my vocals, and my approach is always to go a little hard with the effects, and then bring them like dialing back towards the end of the mix.
Yup.
To get like a real comfort zone, but I took that that piece of feedback from him and just realized, okay, maybe this isn't one of the guys I want to do a ton of experimenting on because his ears just may not be a depth for that. Yeah,
you got to have a nice mixture of clients that like. It's better to do it with new artists that are coming out because they don't know exactly how they want their voice to sound yet. They don't know what their sound is yet. If you try to like find an artist that already has their sound and then you're trying to change their sound, it's gonna be tough, So you gotta have a nice mixture of clients that like you're able to experiment with.
Facts. Y'all want to get Cruz up here? No.
Let him in, son. He's like, nah, don't let him in, bro.
You the only moderator.
Oh, it's me. He didn't ask. He's got to ask. Come on now. You know how this game works.
You know how this game works.
Nah, but anyway, like we're literally doing our frequency response podcast right now. I got my boy here, Rob. He's like a new engineer. He's starting out, so we're just talking shit about like new techniques and shit that I do, shit that I'm trying to teach him to do, and we got a bunch of music people up in here. Shaw has been like one of the artists that I've learned a lot from, being able to engineer. He's one of the artists that he lets me experiment with some shit. And if I go too crazy, he's going to tell me, So also like, don't be afraid to just speak the truth, like with your clients and your mixing and your artists, like, because you can't just have an artist be like, oh yeah, it sounds really good. And then they turn around and they're like, I'm not using this mix. And then they just go get it mixed by somebody else, So it's like, you don't want to waste people's time.
Facts.
So, but yeah, man, I don't know if there's anyone else in here that has any like engineering questions or just general questions about the studio. We've gone over like everything from like studio etiquette, like the vibes in the studio are important. Giving them a nice mix in their headphones so they can perform properly. Everything boils down to a good performance and a good song and a good record and a good final mix. So
I got a business question for you. It's a little outside of it's engineer based, but it's not necessarily technique stuff.
For sure, yeah.
How do you approach just building the relationship with clients where I guess the monetary relationship, right? Like,
yeah,
I've got a ton of people that I work with, and I want to see them make it pretty far. But for me to continue growing, there's financial resources I need for new equipment,
for sure,
VSTs, plugins, so on and so forth. And I often just feel like I'm taxing people by asking for compensation, but like this is the compensation is not for me to go buy a hot dog, right? It's it's
Blizzy,
like, to grow the brand and make the service I'm providing that person better. So what do you
for sure
approach with building those kinds of relationships?
So so we talked about this in the last episode, but like don't like when you're starting out, and when I say starting out, I mean like the first 10 years, because like I've been starting out for 10 years. Like I've done a lot of shit for free. I've done a lot of shit for like, yo, just like pay me what you can. Like I've taken like $20 for a mix, I'm like, I just need something. And then another thing, like I'm super transparent with artists nowadays. I'm like, okay, this is what my rate is. If this is too high, don't just be like, I can't afford you. Like talk to me. Let's figure out what makes sense for you. Because in this age, like artists need to be able to be consistent with their music. So if, for example, if this artist can't afford, say you're charging $100 a mix starting out, but they can't make necessarily, they can afford you, but maybe once a month, So I asked them like, what's a rate that you're comfortable with that's going to make you come back to me every week or whenever you need a song? Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, I got to wait for my next paycheck before I record this next song,
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm very open to negotiation because for me, like consistent clients is what's kept me alive. I have people that come to me every week or every other week, at least 2-3 times a month. But if there's a person that's just going to come to me like once every 6 months, then I'm going to have to charge you full price. But if I'm in the studio, we're both benefiting from each other. You're paying me a little bit. I'm getting more and more experience. I'm getting some exposure. Also, a new thing that I've been doing is offering lower rates up front, and I'm taking a higher percentage of royalties. So that's another way around it. If it's an artist that you think, oh, they're going to be doing this for the rest of their life. Because, there's so many people that come and go as an artist. Those are people that, I'm probably going to charge more up front for. But if, for example, there's artists that I know are dedicated to this shit, they've already been doing it for like 5-10 years, like just like me. And I'm like, they're good as fuck. I believe in them. Because, Mitch, we're almost like a record label too. Like if you take someone under your wing, it's like you're not necessarily funding them with money, but you're funding them with production. You're funding them with recording, studio time.
Yeah.
So it's like all an investment. So whatever you can do to keep your investment going, just be upfront, man. Like, and always hit them with that first price of what you ideally would charge. Like if a label came to you with no budget, they're like, oh, we can pay whatever. Like, what would you charge?
Right.
So, for example, like my real rates are starting at 300 a mix, and they go up to like 500-600 a mix, depending on like the track counts,
Mm-hmm.
But I have a ton of people that I work with on a regular basis that pay like a fraction of that, and that's okay, and you'll get paid. You get 3 to 5%, 3 to 7%. Some people I'm taking 10%. It all depends, and you open up your streaming numbers and that shit might be there. So
yeah, I think you touched on a lot of important things there. I think one thing that a lot of the people in my corner we're starting to realize is, financially speaking, right, when it gets time to release music, financially it puts a big burden on, say, 1/4 of the year, right? So if you got a big project that's coming out, right, trying to essentially fund what's going to be required for mixing and mastering and, even anything audio engineering wise, right, can put that big of a burden on that 1 month or that 2-month, 3-month process that you have going on. So what we've been working on are long-term relationships with engineers, with, even producers, our graphic design artists, where we're keeping people on retainers, where we'll pay each month for the access to,
like a monthly subscription kind of.
Exactly, a month-to-month thing. And then, so that will take care of any singles, any clean tracks, any things that, come up that, this person, they have the stems for the people within the label that can go back and, kind of keep all that organized for us anyways. And then when it comes time for actual EPs, projects, right, we can talk on a more discounted rate because we've been investing, for 6 out of the 12 months so far of the year with monetary gain that's already been realized. And that you'll continue getting paid after this, right? I think security is kind of the big thing. And to your point, Mitch, as well, like I think the big thing is trying to figure out between what type of artist you're really speaking with. As Mike was saying, artists that will necessarily, do you see them being in this, or they've been in this for 5 years? Will this be a growing relationship, or would this be a one-off, like they might not want to really come back to this? If you really do end up nurturing that relationship, I think the idea of security over time and having a repeat customer is much more valuable than, getting, that first or second mix kind of done at that price point. So
100%.
Yeah, a lot of gems being shared here.
Hell yeah.
But who are you? My bad, Mike. Who is that speaking real quick? He didn't even introduce himself.
Oh, this is Mo. I'm sorry.
There we go, Mo. Thank you. Back to you, Mike.
Back to you, Mike.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. And another thing, like, you got to remember is the mixing and mastering and recording. It's very important, but it's not the whole process. You want to leave your artist with enough funds to properly market that track, maybe shoot a visual for that track. Like you said, get cover art. There's a lot more that goes into it. Obviously, this is the most important, like, first step before actually, like, writing the song. Like, it's got to be a good song. It's got to be recorded right. It's got to be mixed right. It's got to be mastered right. But then after that, if you want your artist to have longevity, they have to be able to market their shit. They have to be able to get their face out there on a visual. that's what's going to keep them coming back to you, and that's what's going to keep that good relationship going. So it's very important to like have your artists feel like their engineer cares about them, you know? And then in turn, that's how you get references. If they ever have another friend that's an artist that is struggling to find an engineer, or, you know, their stuff isn't sounding as good as their friends, they're going to be like, yo, who do you use? Like, your shit sounds great. And then your friend is essentially that artist that you're working with is essentially your salesperson. They're going to pitch you. They're going to speak highly of you. And then their friend's going to hit you up. And then that's another client. So I don't know if you guys have any of you guys been working with anybody? Like, Mitch, have you worked with somebody and, you know, one of their friends hits you up because they like what they heard?
Oh, yeah. A couple of times.
Yeah, so like word of mouth is huge.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And if you just run business right, you know what I mean? Like, what I'm really focusing on is, especially as an engineer, is just doing business right. Like you said, it's communication. It's being open and available to have the conversation with an artist about, you know, what they have available and what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
So, but the word of mouth definitely, like, that's the oldest marketing trick in the book. Like,
yep.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, it's nice to be appreciated, and it's nice when people, you know, pay you back for that without even, like, you don't even have to ask. You don't have to be like, hey, do you have any friends like that you could pass my way? Like, it just organically happens. And when it happens like that, I don't know, it's just something special, because like a lot of my clients are from other clients, and I'm still working them to this day, you know? Like, I've been working with some people for some of my oldest artists I've been working with for like 10 years, you know? Like Hassan, it's only HA, I've been working for like 10 years. He's had a ton of people that have passed my way that have just heard his shit. Even like features. So this is another thing. So like if you're doing like a feature, if one of your main artists is doing a feature for somebody, and they send the track, and like the track's tight, but the mix is kind of like, it's questionable, you know? You don't want to just send out the stems for the feature and like his verse sounds fire. His verse sounds fire, and the rest of the mix is like, ooh, like it's gonna make that artist look kind of bad, right? So I always offer to be like, okay, well, this is what his is gonna sound like. If you need help with your mix, like, let me know. I'm willing to help you out, because you're doing a feature with my artist, you know? So that's another way to get business. Features, I mean, show them what you can do. And also don't be afraid to like demo a mix, like mix something and send them the first 30 seconds of it and then fade it out, and they'll be hot.
Hold on, how to mix sound when it gets sent again? What you say?
Say it one more time.
What you say? You said when the feature sent the mix, and the mix sound what? You said it sound.
It's questionable, you know?
I'm gonna start saying people in your mix sound.
That's my mix note. Yeah, you're like, yo, what do you think of this? Fingers on a chalkboard. I don't know. This is all stuff that, like, I don't know the facts to, but this is all stuff that's been working for me. Obviously, there's probably some stuff that I'm doing wrong. Everyone can always be bigger and better than they are right now. So, but
also, Mike, you probably got an invite for V-Rob that you don't know about.
Well, I got extra invites on here, or what's good?
Oh, unless you use all your invites. Did you use them all?
How many you get?
So, in the middle, and you see that in the middle, it should be like a little mail thing. Like a mail symbol. If you got the mail icon in the middle, then you still have an invite, so you can.
Oh yeah, bro, I got you, bro.
What's good?
He's on the waiting list for Clubhouse, so I can get him in.
That's what I'm saying. So he could be a moderator, and he could do his thing.
Or I could just auction off my invite live on air right now to the highest bidder.
Oh,
or here we go. Purchase a mix from Mike Gato.
Facts. Full price mix. Come on, come through.
Yeah, boy.
I like that. See, Mitch got the ideas.
Fuck on it then.
Shit. I know you got some questions, bro.
Actually, I've been listening. Honestly, everyone knows, like, they know what they're talking about. You know, I like listening to y'all. Y'all sound like, I just like listening to
we got some people in here that know some shit for sure. I mean, this is what it's about, is like building like a team. Like, if you're the only engineer in your circle,
facts,
it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Like you need someone to talk to. Like you need someone to bounce ideas off of. You need like, and when I am more established, like I'm not gonna master my own shit. Fuck that. I'm gonna find a mastering engineer that I love, and he's gonna master my shit because you want multiple ears on it.
Big facts.
And I want a real master. I don't want to just fucking ozone in the box master. You know, like run that shit through something, make it sound crazy. So
We gotta change that shit. I just don't like the term master. How about final or something? I don't know.
oh shit, yeah. I mean,
You was on that. You said I need a real master. I was I'm out.
yeah, that's
House tours, bro, and they was talking about going into the master bedroom.
yeah.
I hear you, bro. It's just like
I actually have heard that they're like they're making an effort to like change those terms, you know? Because yeah, that's like shit. That's some fucked up. Like, why do they have to pick that word? Like, not good. I know why, but yeah, it just sucks. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. So yeah, I agree, Sha. What were you changing it to?
I mean something that just makes sense, right? I mean,
The final? I don't know.
you know how you describe reverb as something. I got you. Yeah, PTR too, man. You throwing me off. I already did, fool. I got how about blend? You know what I'm saying? All right, now follow me here now. A mix, right? Like when you mix a salad, it's like it's mixed, but the salad ain't a smoothie yet. You know what I'm saying? You gotta blend a smoothie for it to all be one. Y'all with me? No? Anybody with me?
Kinda. I like the food. The food references are really good for people.
I understand, but I'm thinking about the functionality of what a master does. Am I like, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't a master just push it to a certain point so that it's industry standard?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it can do more than that, but
Yeah, they're emphasizing kind of their favorite parts, and Gatos had a little bit before you got in, but they're also just trying to, widen it and make sure it's well balanced from a tonal perspective.
So I would prefer a term like ceiling or push, or the final push. Like, you know what I mean? The final ceiling, the final push, the final whatever describes the function of what the master is doing, so that we don't have to say master.
how about serving?
Yeah.
Like when you finally get like it ready to serve.
If you're accentuating your favorite parts.
What about a max? Look, we already calling the mix a mix. We can call the final
I like
one
that.
max.
I like
Max.
that too.
Maximize
The max.
mix.
I like that.
I'm a mix and maxterer.
Mix and maximize. Mix and maximize.
Yeah, so fuck it. No more of those words. We mixing and maxtering. I just gotta get used to saying
or
that.
maxing.
Maximize.
Maxing.
We maximizing your mix. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
maximizing.
Yeah, mix and maximize.
Honestly, like Pro Tools is responsible because they have
Nah, that ain't gonna sound good.
a master fader, you know. So it's like they got to change that. That's the reason that it's called that, because Pro Tools named it that. I don't know where they got that from.
Let's bring the producer of Godly, 6-piece, and Top Ramen up here for his birthday.
Oh shit! Happy birthday!
Hey, happy birthday.
808.
Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, bro.
It's your boy.
Yeah, got some fire beats, bro.
Hey, appreciate y'all, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure mixing some of your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Man, hell yeah, bro. I know who you are, bro. I definitely been meaning to tap into it with you, but I feel like it was more like an in-person type thing. But
For sure.
I don't remember, but I put up to your crib a few
Yep.
years ago.
Yep. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when that face-to-face thing was a thing.
Jay, we got to get back, Jay. Because Gato done flipped the whole crib. I heard the studio look crazy now, fool. Man,
Yeah.
Bro, whenever I first went in there, I was like, damn, this is a cool-ass little vibe back here. So
It's completely different now, man.
what you done to it.
Yeah. During quarantine, I built like my own isolation booth in the studio, and I went all out. I basically just built a room inside of a room and insulated the fuck out of it. It's a soundproof.
Yeah, getting it right.
You walk in that bitch and you can hear your heartbeat.
I basically built a room inside of a room.
Yeah.
Exactly, bro. But nah, for sure, bro. I definitely gotta pull it back on y'all, man. I don't know when, but man, shit, I do want to make it back out that way soon.
For sure, bro. And I mean, you always do a great job of mixing your beats. Like, there's a lot of producers, you know, that I always like to get the stems because I have a summing mixer, so I like to split up the signals and stuff. But I will say you do a great job of balancing your low end and giving space for the vocals. So like I appreciate working with producers like that.
Man, no, I definitely appreciate that one, bro, because, yeah, that's something that's, I feel like it's slept on in the producer world that I be trying to tell some of my homies, like, bro, like, you ain't got to be a mix engineer, but, like, sometimes some beats rely on, like, I'll say this, the mix can define, you know what I mean, if somebody gonna like it or say it's trash with some beats, you know? So it's like, if these drums is not hitting the way they need to be, but, like, everything else is cool, it's like, you know what I mean? I don't want the artist to be like, it's all right. You know what I mean? Even though I'm sure, like, you know, the engineer can, you know, soup it up and make it, you know, sound like how it's supposed to. But, you know what I mean? I just always want to have myself, you know, presented in a decent light enough to where, you know, people could, you know what I mean, just, you know what I mean, what's the word?
I mean, they just be comfortable with grabbing, like, you know, grabbing it how it is and using it without having to be like, okay, well, let me pass it off to somebody first. And it's like,
yeah, for sure. And anytime somebody needs stems, if I really fuck with the artist, I'm for sure gonna send them, you know what I mean, for free and everything type shit.
Hell yeah.
Because if I fucking with you, then I want the song to be as best as it can be. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So, you know what I mean? If Shaw need the stems for a joint, I'm for sure gonna send it so you can get it right. You know what I mean? Get it sounding how it really needs to be.
for sure.
Yeah.
And with a lot of y'all, like, when I'm asking for the stems, like, I'm not necessarily changing like a ton of stuff about the mix. You know, I'm just running it through my summing mixer so I can get different tones out of it. And then, you know, there could just be like one thing, like your bass is hitting great. You know, it's hitting really hard, but on the album, you know, there's a certain frequencies that aren't in a lot of the mixes. So if the next song is just fucking booming, it's going to be lower in volume than everything in the album. And then in turn, it might not be the favorite song just because it's lower than everything, because people have to turn their system up. So maybe they just hit next. It's like a psychological thing too.
Yeah,
So
one of the things that working with Laven Kali taught me a lot, just because he made sure that the low end on all his albums are consistent. So he can't have one that like really knocks, and then another one where it's just like a kick drum that's not knocking.
yeah,
Feel what I'm saying? So just keeping a low and consistent. I was also going to say, well, Mike, did you want to just introduce to Jerry like what the Frequency Podcast is about? Because we're going to be talking about mixes.
for sure. Yeah. So I mean, basically, I started this with my boy Rob, and it just started out like he was just kind of getting into mixing, and he would just ask me a lot of questions, like technical questions, not just, you know, the basic stuff that a lot of people ask. I could tell he was actually on the plugins, like experimenting with shit. So I wanted to start this just to talk different techniques, different new plugins that come out, even just like studio vibes, studio etiquette, you know, relationships, business stuff like we've been talking about. There's a lot that goes into it just besides just the mixing and mastering, you know, or mixing and maximizing. And so basically we're covering everything from any kind of questions that anybody has starting off, people that have been doing this shit for 10, 20 years, like anything in between. So it's not just about, you know, music, but it's, you know, it's definitely focused on it. But just like when you're in the studio, there's a lot of different things that go into it. There's a lot of different things that go into this podcast. So, and next to Clubhouse, you know, we're just kind of opening it up to other people now, because we were just sitting here chopping up with each other. And 3-4 episodes, we had plenty to talk about. But now that he's learning more, I'm learning more. It's like we want to open it up to people who are maybe less experienced, more experienced.
I'm learning more for sure.
Get a perspective. Shaw is getting on his mixing. Shaw's mixes are sounding really good now. He about to fire me.
Why y'all be saying it? That's not true.
I'm just playing. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Hey, no, I definitely fuck with that, bro, because, I mean, yeah, you can always learn some shit, regardless if you just blaze or, you know what I mean, or you just started, you know what I mean, a couple days ago. And I definitely feel like, you know, I could learn more on the sound designing side of, like, VSTs and shit, just because, you know, I didn't venture into some shit just by, you know, fucking around with knobs and just moving shit around, just fucking with shit. But I don't really be knowing exactly, you know what I mean, like what, you know what I mean, like with some things are doing, you know what I mean, like I want to know what it's doing and what, you know what I mean, just so I can get a better idea of like what's going on, if that makes sense.
I was say this too, like, look, it's 4 people in here from the DMV, and Jay, I know Jay, your background's in Texas, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
And Gaets from Florida. I feel like everybody's static mixing here is a reflection of our musical experience. Like,
for sure.
I mean, Jay, I feel like Jay's low end sit where it sit because that's literally like what he been listening to. You know what I'm saying? Growing up in the South.
Yeah.
I know Mitch's mixes, whenever they come through, I know that there's going to be an emphasis on the percussive elements, like the snares, the kicks, you know what I'm saying? Because it got cranked, you know what I'm saying? It got cranked. That's where we from. Like, you know what I'm saying? The shit just got cranked.
Ooh.
And that shit, I know, Gato, when you be, you know what I'm saying, when you be doing your dub mixes or, you know what I'm saying, your EDM mixes or whatever it is, I just know that shit is just some shit that I haven't even tapped into. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, like, as far as the low-end mixing on that, the instrumentation and how you get the vocals to sit, with the distortion and everything, I'm like, yo, this shit is wild.
For sure. And I've always been like, you know, I've always considered myself much better at mixing vocals rather than mixing beats. And that's something that I've continued to like tap into and just learn more shit about. And be able to work with other producers and different producers on every track has taught me like what works, what doesn't work. Where the low end should sit, where the relationship between some of the instruments that are in the frequency of the vocals should be sitting, and how to make those vocals pop, you know? So it's like, that's important, just as important as how we were talking about how loud the mix is. It's like how loud the vocals are in relationship to everything else. Because for me, when I listen to music, I think everyone listens to music differently. I'm a big lyric person. I'm a big vocal person. I love vocals on stuff. Like you were talking about, how I've done like a lot of EDM shit. I fucking hate house music that has no vocals on it. Like, I can't listen to it. So that's true. One thing that I've tried to start doing. Like if I'm gonna make house music, I want vocals on it. So you can just tell that that's the most important part to music for me. Like I like to listen to the words. I like to listen to the story. So if I can't hear what you're saying, then I'm out. It's tough.
Man, it's crazy. I'm like the complete opposite, bro. Like I'll memorize melodies and lines and all of that before, you know what I mean? I memorize like the words, cause like I feel like this is the first time I hear an album or a song, I listen to it for the overall sound of it. You know what I mean? Like is the flow cool? Is the beat cool? And then I'll go again, listen for the beat, and then I feel like I don't really be catching like the lyrics and shit part until like maybe the, you know what I mean, 4th, 5th time where I'm just listening to it. Maybe because I'm actually a producer, and that's what I look for, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's like same way, like if I hear a song and the mix is bad, I can't even like get into it. I'm like, okay, next song, I can't do it. So the same thing with you. If you hear a song and the song could be written fucking beautifully, but if the beat is trash, like you probably can't listen to it, right?
Oh my God, that's point on. Yeah, exactly. What was the noise there? What did he say?
But yeah, I mean, music is just as important as vocals, like, and the relationship between the two is, you know, that's where the producer comes in, that's where the artist comes in, and that's where I can come in to basically to make them meet in the right place.
Yeah, no, that's I appreciate you because I know people like you make us sound better. So I know you made me sound, you know, better on probably. Damn, did you no, you didn't do sound bites. I'm tripping.
No, that was Mitch, right? And Jay, you had some stuff on Reggie's project, right? Phases.
Man, yeah, I had a couple of joints on there.
Yeah, so I mixed Phases.
Oh well, shit, yeah, appreciate you, bro. Happy you sounding good, goddamn. Yeah, Phases is crazy.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that was
funny y'all saying this, bro, because on my today my birthday, so I tweeted out like, you know, everybody go run the streams up on my little produced by JOA's playlist.
Yep.
And I was listening to a couple of the joints from Phases, like, man, This was a cool project, man. I'm glad Reggie had invited me to that, man.
Hell yeah. It's still holding up, you know?
Oh, that whole thing. Shit was a vibe.
Man, yeah, bro, from the beginning to end. So, yeah, I appreciate you again, man.
Nice.
All love here, man. I love working with as many people that are passionate about this shit, you know?
Facts.
That's what music is at the end of the day.
Yeah, and people that actually take chances and, like, you know what I mean, just with the music on, like, you know what I mean, just experimenting rather. Like, that's what I fuck with the most. And, like, I feel like I do experiment with my music and, you know what I mean, for y'all to be fucking with it, you know what I mean, it's hell. I don't know, I just appreciate when people fuck with me because I know I just be trying shit, you know what I mean, but I'm up here at work, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. They about to probably look for me in a couple of minutes. I'm really just coming here to say what's good to y'all, man.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that, bro. We're going to be on here once a week talking about this stuff, so feel free to come back.
No, 1,000, bro. Y'all be easy.
You too, bro.
Take it easy, bro.
And yeah, I mean, straight up, I look forward to working with him more, you know?
Hey.
Anytime I feel like any artist gets on the 808 beat, the J808, it's like, it's going to be a hit. I know Shaw's brought me many hits by him. Reggie, I'm waiting for the next one, so I'm excited.
What the fuck? We didn't mention it was us.
Oh, that was him too. Nobody knows about that shit yet. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not, yeah,
That shit under wraps. He don't even know about it. No, I was kidding. He gave us the stem, so he's got to know about it. But yeah, man.
Yeah, that shit crazy.
It's been a good talk. We're gonna try to do this once a week, just talking about mixes and new shit. Last week we talked about all the Black Friday deals on all the plugins. So I hope everyone got their plugins in, made their purchases, because that shit will help you out. Just play with new toys. Fuck buying anything else.
Which one you get?
Invest in yourself. Shit, you already know what I got. I got the satellite. I just picked up the satellite, the extension DSP chips for the Apollo, so I can fucking just run. I didn't necessarily get a new plugin, but I can run like 80 instances of autotune with no problem. Like I can't max out my shit. I tried. I literally hit duplicate on one of my vocal chains 50 times and it still wasn't maxed out.
Damn.
And there's like 5 plugins on each. So I'm like,
That's impressive.
I don't think it's possible. I will say, like, I was doing something wrong for a while. It worked for me, but I was basically putting my autotune on an aux and sending multiple vocals to it. And autotune is a mono plugin. So if you do that, it's not going to hit the notes how you want it to. So once I figured that out and I started printing my vocals, now I can just literally put a different autotune on every single track before it goes to my aux. So it's independently tuning everything. And that's made a huge difference for me. Just with like the vocals phasing nicely, hitting the same key, getting that fucking crispy, like you can't even tell that there's multiple vocals playing. It just sounds like one fat ass vocal. That shit's a game changer. Yeah, man, it's been real good experience just learning and upping my my equipment. Yeah, it's been great, man. Shaw's got a fire album coming out.
Hey.
Mitch has got a fire album coming out.
Hey.
My boy V-Rob is always working on something, dropping something.
Hey.
So that's all we can ask for. Just keep the music coming.
Hey.
There's 40,000 releases a day on Spotify. So if you don't drop shit frequently, you might get left behind, especially in the beginning. When you're an established artist, I think you can kind of space it out. But we're all starting out here and trying to grow the following. I know Shaw's been working hard, getting his visuals right.
That's right.
And I appreciate that because, honestly, for me, like when a fire music video drops for a song that I mixed and I get to post that on my Instagram,
Ooh.
that's how I get most of my clients. They're like, damn, that's fire. Like, you did that? So it's just like, once they put a visual to it, I just feel like people, like appreciate shit even more, you know? Because it's like, audio is powerful, but video and audio together is like unstoppable. That's why movies make so much fucking money. So we're out here making movies with our music.
I really just feel like I'm following everyone else's lead. So I appreciate the circle that I got around me that's showing me like, and if you just keep pushing, shit gonna work out. You know, from Alec Ferris to Taton to Mo to Mitch.
Yep.
Everybody just putting in that groundwork to just get their visuals out, get their shit off,
Facts.
and keep the conversation moving as far as DC creatives or wherever the fuck we from. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. I'm trying to come to DC too. Once all this shit chills out, I need to check out DC.
Hey,
Damn. I want to travel.
I mean, at the end of the day,
As soon as you got somewhere to, as soon as everything clears up, come to DC, man. I got somewhere for you to stay, dog.
Hey. appreciate
oh,
that.
at the end of the day, we always just need to, you know, sometimes we just need help, and we shouldn't be afraid to just ask for help. You know, I mean, I honestly feel like you almost need a team to be successful. It's like if you're one lion, that's cool, but like if you're a whole team of lions, that's scary, bro.
Hell yeah.
Another thing, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be able to get the visuals done without Adam. I wouldn't be able to get the visuals out without Mike. I wouldn't be able to know how to properly do things or whatever, or get things right in the mix without Alec being by my side on some step of the ways in my creative process. So, you know, it's definitely just a you definitely gotta pay attention to your team and who you got around you. And I feel like creation is the only place where we can know and discover ourselves at the same time. So not being afraid to fuck up in front of people and experiment is and creating that safe space is essential.
Yeah, man. So that's the tip of the day, tip of the show. Go out there, experiment. Don't be afraid to fuck up. You fuck up, you're going to learn why you fucked up, and you're going to fix it the next time. So that's all we can ask for. Keep growing. And shit, yeah, man. We love every one of y'all that are joining in, talking to us.
Your boy Valid came in. Hold on.
Who's Valid? Oh. Who this? Valid. Oh, that's Valid.
Nah. That's not your boy. That's my boy. That's
Okay.
It's Kyle Shaw.
But yeah, man, we about to cut the podcast off. We can keep talking on here.
For days, we would keep talking for days.
But yeah, man, thanks for tuning in. Frequency Response. Open the gates.
V-Rob.
It was a different episode. We're highlighting Clubhouse. You might find us on Clubhouse more because I got another invite from my boy. We're about to be talking